And now, having completed the requirements for a PhD, Doctor Honoris Causa in blockbuster filmmaking, the University of Hollywood hereby confers this diploma on Kidlat Tahimik.
Bravo!
Mama! Around the world I've searched for you. I traveled on. Yes, finally! 20 long years. I can go back to my village in Hapao. My poor mother who has been planting and harvesting on our rice terraces for the last 20 years. For this reward. Now she does not have to work another day longer. We will start a blockbuster industry in Ifugao. And yes, not only do I get this diploma, the University of Hollywood, they're even financing my dissertation, Sex in the Terraces. Okay, I'm back coming home. The green terraces of home. Tagal-tagal na, I haven't seen you. But now, we shall make a use of you. I've learned all the tricks. All these rice terraces only for rice? Hey, we can use it for locations. Inang, you don't have to work another day longer. Just imagine, we have our own way to survive. Inang, imagine on my way home, I stopped in Tokyo. I talked to some producers and they said, okay, our next project will be Godzilla in the terraces. And next, I stopped in Singapore. What's the name of that group? Shaw Brothers. S-H-O-W? Shaw Brothers. They're going to help get me a galleon. Yes, they're going to get money to get the marina sands, basin sands. And we can finish the film. Inang. One more. Just imagine Rambo in the terraces. Hindi mo kilala? You don't know who Rambo is? Rambo, he's got this helicopter on top of the rice terraces. Stronger than Apocalypse Now. Here comes Rambo, running after the NPA. Inang, just imagine those green terraces newly planted with rice turning red with Hollywood ketchup. Inang, every formula we've learned. Inang, why? Why are you so sad? I said that when I left 20 years ago, that I would earn a diploma so I could make films about the engineering indigenous of our forefathers, that I would make films about Inabian, goddess of the wind, that I would make a documentary about the Hudhud, national, international treasure. Yes, I wanted to do that, pero Nang, who is going to watch those films? Are you going to buy tickets for those? Nobody will buy tickets. Nang, we have to do the formula S plus V equals P. Sex plus violence equals profits. Nang, Okay. I still know my beat. I still know my beat. I have not lost my Cordillera touch. Yes. I still know it. Wala pang gansa sa Hollywood. One, two. Basta handa, magtulungan mo ako! How did you tell those stories? You did not need a Mitchell 5000 high-speed camera from Hollywood. You did not need a reflex from Germany. You didn't need a Sony from Japan. You did it your own way. You told stories with your own bamboo camera. Okay. We'll do our blockbuster smile. Your own bamboo camera. Smile. Keep your bamboo camera. Smile, senor. We're going to do our blockbuster, our own films tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow. Tomorrow we do our auditions. Who is going to join us? Are you going to support our indigenous film fest? Okay. We're going to cast in Abian, Goddess of the Wind. Who will volunteer? Joyce. Okay, Joyce. Are you ready? Are you going to come tomorrow to our audition? Okay, wear your if you go topless, but come topless. Yes. Let's do our own.
Wala, hindi ka pa makapag-graduate.
My prop person is not my costumes. Sorry.
Hindi pa siya makapag-graduate.
I got an F for costume design.
Fail.
Okay.
Cut.
Take two. Dali, mahuli. Take two. Take three. Take four. And ready. Camera. Teka muna, one more take. I don't have my glasses. Yan na. Luwas na.
Hit, bulaga.
And ready. Music, maestro. Take it away. Let's let's do our indigenous films. But she was cast across our box office, Royal de la Rosa, and now she's a star in my film. Ma, welcome back. And in the spirit of my recycling, I would like to say thank you to my favorite reborn Magellan, the curator of the Axis, Orion, my son, Digia.
Call. Slave.
Now the master of the slave, we don't know who, but I think as a father I always try to play a balanced role, but maybe sometimes I crack the whip too much, huh? But never cracked it enough to control his height. I want to acknowledge just a few more. The cameraman for the old 1980 materials, 16 millimeter, was Roberto Iniguez, Boy Iniguez. And anyway, Boy, we salute your superb cinematography. And during this last year, it's only the last 10 months I've been shooting this new footages. We've had about 20 cameramen and women. There's Lee Mei Lee. There's Abby. Where's Abby? Abby, shooting there. Abby Lara is also our editor. And I think everybody else who, I can't think of everybody at the moment, but those who are here, sino po narito?
Man, this sounds like a premiere now.
Anyway, for those of you who probably noticed, there's the footage from the 1980s, where yours truly was younger than springtime. And now I'm a white-haired, goatee person who's been searched by my recycled Magellan. Anyway, I think I don't want to call this film a movie yet. It's still undergoing. I'm sorry if some rough spot in our soundtrack. and maybe a little bit more distillation. But it's an attempt to create a cocoon around the original story, since I could not act as the same slave. I don't have the same looks. My pouch, my wrinkles, my white hair probably will give me away. And playing with this theme of getting all the people who were in the 1980s footage to meet again during the Flower Festival in Baguio was about as home movie as I could get. Maybe that's a characteristic of my films, they're very home movies. Partly that's, yeah, all my actors are so cheap. Ma, did I ever pay you any money? Or,
When will you pay me, man?
are you a member of the union?
Definitely. Reunification.
Okay. Well, what else can I say? Okay, we can open up the floor. Is there any questions or comments or tomatoes?
Eggs.
Eggs. It was a process that you, I think, got capsulized in a 2-hour film, and it's not as smooth as what they would call the blockbusters, but I think I'm getting there, finishing my circumnavigation in this lifetime. And thank you, Joyce, for letting me come here. I'm not yet ready for it.
Well, questions, anyone? I think we have 2 mics here.
Well, might as well sit down. Well, I'm not yet ready for this wheelchair. Thank you. I love.
I really enjoyed your film, Amanda. How historically accurate is your film?
How
Historically accurate.
historically, okay. Enrique de Malacca did exist, and Enrique de Malacca was mentioned 5 or 6 times in the book by Antonio Pigafetta. Antonio Pigafetta was the chronicler of that 2-year trip around the world in 1521. Now, we know that there was a guy called Enrique de Malacca. We also know from a last will and testament of Magellan, which is still in the archives in Sevilla. I don't know how they preserved that parchment, but they did. And it says, Al dia de mon muerto, mon esclavo, Enrique de Malacca will become a free man on the day of my death, and shall receive 25,000 maravedis. Okay? So, we also know at least Magellan had a high regard for his slave. Okay, it's all my inferences if I say one day it dawned upon Magellan to think, wow, this guy's a thinking man. But I think I would like also to stretch the issue. Maybe if Magellan was the master in the normal sense of the word, okay? He was dealing with kings, King Carlos I. He was negotiating with bankers, the Augsburg bankers. He was dealing with both engineers and map makers in the universities. Mr. Logistics, Mr. Big Deal. Magellan was the master of everything, totally in control. Except that he didn't know that the Pacific Ocean was bigger than he thought. And the slave was just following him around, just doing his duties, brushing his hair, massaging his hairy back, washing his laundry. But maybe Enrique, as an indigenous person, had some kind of a inner understanding, a cosmic. His cosmology gave him the sense that if you just follow the sun, you will come back to where you started. That's my mother cheering us the trip on. And in that sense, then we also know in the book of Pigafetta that when they arrived, after the 90-day treacherous crossing of the Pacific,
when they arrived in the Philippines. Okay, and this is the points that might give us the final if the academics ask for citations, okay? Opsits and loxits. And people still know here was opsit and loxit. The footnotes, opposite. Anyway, the fact that it's mentioned in Pigafetta's book, when they reached the first island in the Philippines, which is Limasawa, Magellan noticed that natives had brown skin and black hair and said, Enrique, try to talk to the natives. And he tried to talk to the Limasawans, but their language was waray-waray. And every island had its own language. Anyway, when he tried, it was written in the book, he could not understand. They could not communicate. A few days later, they sailed another 100 miles west to Cebu. Now, for those of you who don't know your history, Magellan was killed in Cebu. He never made it back to Spain or even to Malacca. Magellan was killed by Lapu-Lapu. Well, you've seen it on the film. And he was still, so actually his most eastern point was Malacca, where he picked up the slave, baptized him Enrique, then Malacca, Enrique from Malacca, brought the slave with him back to Spain, got the financing from the Spanish crown, did the rest of the voyage via the Strait of Magellan, crossed the 90-day Pacific, and then when he got there, he got killed in Cebu. So Magellan had done 99% of the voyage, but lacked the last 800 kilometers from between Cebu and Malacca. Okay, whereas if that citation by Antonio Pigafetta says that this guy could not speak a language in one island but could speak the language in another island, then it opens the possibility that the first person to circumnavigate the globe, and probably proven by his ability to speak Cebuano in that island, then maybe the first man to go around the world was the slave of Magellan. Okay, so he had done his 1% of the trip, 800 miles. Maybe pirates had picked him up, brought him to Malacca, and sold him to Magellan, who brought him on the 99% of the voyage. But Magellan only did 99%, and he never got to do his 1%. Maybe he has to consult the Wall Street 1%ers. So that's how accurate I mean, based on the facts that I can get.
Okay, we have 100 questions more to go.
Anyway. So, just, it has a factual basis, but in my film, I think the historians will lynch me with all my insinuations how King Carlos approved the project, and other little naughty filling up, fleshing out. But the broadest skeleton, I think, is factual. Yes, next question.
No, thank you for everything.
I guess if there are no more questions. Yeah, here's a question here.
Yeah, can you tell us the tribe you are from? You are wearing this tribal gear, and are there a lot of different tribes in the Philippines?
Mm-hmm.
And are you from which tribal group is that?
From the culture out there.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I'm an adopted Ifugao. Okay, I'm not as full-blooded as the people who joined me while in the dance. I've really been long romanticizing the culture that I think we lost because of American colonization from 1898 until, well, officially until 1946 when they gave us our independence. But that colonization continues with Hollywood, with television, with American Idol programming. That nostalgia for a lost tribal wisdom has been one of the things that have motivated me to keep going back. And as a matter of fact, that hut where you see me, that's really a hut where I live, and eventually hope to live full time atop the rice terraces. I think the fact is that a lot of the ancestral wisdom that many of the people there in the northern regions of the Philippines and other tribal areas.
So is that
had-
Baguio? Is that?
Baguio, yes, in the Baguio. Baguio is 250 kilometers north of Manila. But the Spaniards and the Americans had difficulty colonizing the people up there. So for a long time, they had a relatively pristine culture because they were protected by the highlands. But of course, the day and age of transmission over the television waves has penetrated those mountains, and the erosion of cultural values and ways have been. So, in a way, my advocacy, I always joke that I'm the president of the Balik Bahag movement. Balik, in the Philippines, balik means to return. Although you say balik bayan, you return to your country, or balik bahag is to return to the tradition of the G-string. It's a metaphor for not losing completely what our forefathers said. Yes, we can wear jeans. Yes, we can dance to Michael Jackson. Yes, we can drive cars. But why be ashamed of a heritage that has really like built the rice terraces, that has created the Hudhud epic chants, which are described now by the UNESCO as an endangered heritage. If we can modernize, but we don't have to give up everything. I don't know if this is relevant here in Singapore. Of course, you're a postmodern, ultimately very industrial town, but maybe at least we still have some tribes who can share with us a lot of the knowledge that is still relevant today, especially today. No? I think Al Gore has been quoting Indian chiefs and Amazons and Inuits from Alaska, but without needing to rely on a discoverer like Al Gore. I think it's right in our own backyards. We can tap that knowledge and maybe not make the same mistakes that that's creating this planet that's out of balance. A lot of the knowledge, and I would like to show that more in the film, that Enrique de Malaca had that connection, with nature, that he was probably reading the waves just by feeling the currents, and maybe also, I mean, there's one secret that I never got to do. It's that when Magellan goes down to the bottom of South America, and that was very a confusing area. There were a lot of these jagged islands, stone islands, and to choose the final narrow path to lead them to the Pacific Ocean. I have a scene there where Magellan is consulting his navigators, he's consulting everybody who has some kind of knowledge of the stars. But then while they're all confused, they're all arguing which is the, take this route or that route or that route, he sees Enrique de Malaca playing his nose flute at the stern, and somehow knowing that that was the way, and Magellan takes his gamble on Enrique showing him the way, and that's what changed history. Without that little nose flute intuition, maybe they would have never circumnavigated the globe. But that's part of my imagination, and I still think that if everybody says prove it, I can't, but I'll say also prove that that it didn't happen, and I think nobody can also disprove it. So let's leave that nice, ambiguous area for recognizing that maybe the indigenous spirit was part of the mix. Magellan provided the technology, but the spiritual compass came from the slave with still his deep indigenous knowledge. Other questions?
Mabuhay Philippines.
My mother's cheering also for our having achieved that feat. I'm glad now my mother understands why I stuck 33 years with this voyage. Any more? So I would encourage most of you, please, if you get a chance, go to that Axis project room, which is really an attempt to show that there's a thriving art practice and process that continues despite American colonization of the hinterlands. Halsema Road, which is like the main title of that project, was the main thoroughfare by which the Americanos could go from Baguio, our hill station, into the hinterlands. But in spite of that, I think the undercurrents of indigenous culture are still very strong in the output of the artists today. And maybe the artists are also trying to put up front, let the world recognize that we might be influenced by Picassos and Warhols and other big names, because maybe our media is still overemphasizing the stars of the art planet. But I think the artists in Baguio continue to absorb quietly and use quietly what their forefathers had to offer. And I think that great combination will make something unique in the way. Hopefully Joyce took a big risk to allow us to express ourselves as a region. And I think, I hope people will become more curious about what we're doing out there. And maybe the link here, as I said at the beginning of when we started the session, I didn't want to be a separated, my film event to be a separate thing. I was afraid of the capital P in premiere. And if you watch it as a small P premiere, I think, and then let it be one of the 15 or 17 projects that are associated with the Axis project, then I feel more comfortable being one of the cast in that sense.
Mabuhay!
I got my best cheering squad here. Mama, thank you for coming. And thank you everybody for sharing this premiere with a small P, but my storytelling. Let's just say you came and experienced the storytelling by Kidlat Tahimik. 33 years of digestion and distilled storytelling. Thank you. Good night, everybody.